Today we are trying out the 2017 Toyota Corolla IM. So originally this car was part of the Scion lineup as the Scion IM. And so basically when they discontinued Scion as a brand, Toyota adopted this model as the Toyota Corolla IM. Eventually that was discontinued for the now Corolla hatchback. But today we have the Corolla IM, so let's go check out the exterior. So when Toyota named this thing the Toyota Corolla IM, they wanted you to think that this thing was intriguing and magnetic, according to their site. And actually, I think it is intriguing. We have these gorgeous rims here, which honestly I think pair really well with the light blue color of this car. In the back here, as you can see, we have our traditional IM badging. We have a nice trunk here, which is fully manual though, so you kind of have to put a little effort into lifting it up, but yeah, plenty of access to the cabin. Of course, our seats fold down, really providing a lot of practicality for this Corolla. You will note that with the Toyota Corolla IM, it really does have that Corolla front end, very iconic for this generation. But when they did the 12th generation car, of course, they just kind of introduced this as the Corolla hatchback rather than the IM. So of course, they marketed this Toyota Corolla IM as their more practical model, which of course started just under $20,000 with the optional CVT. We actually have decent amount of room in this back seat. I have about 1.5 inches of headroom, so if you're any taller than 5'9", you might have a hard time sitting back here, but I have ample room for my legs, which I do appreciate. And so today this Toyota Corolla was brought to us by First International Auto Group out of Merrimack, New Hampshire. We do a lot of cars for them. Definitely check out their site and their lot here in Merrimack. It's actually, they have a lot of cars incoming. This one is listed on their site for just above $13,000 US. And of course, this example has 103,000 miles on it. Really has held up well. Very minimal wear and tear in this interior. Really the one wear point in here is the steering wheel, which actually I think is a great opportunity to get it wrapped with something fun. Maybe, an Alcantara, and kind of lean into the sporty marketing that Toyota provided when they launched the IM for the Toyota brand rather than the Scion brand. So powering this Corolla IM is a naturally aspirated 1.8 liter 4-cylinder that makes 136 horsepower, 126 pound-feet of torque. I will note that a 6-speed manual comes standard in the Corolla IM, so I think if you are looking to buy one of these, seek out a manual transmission one, because that's going to be a lot of fun. We do have a sport mode in here as well as an eco mode for this Corolla IM. When I put it in sport, you can notice the transmission tuning really kind of kicks it up a notch, and you get a lot more throttle response as well, which I do appreciate. But while we make our way out of the outlets, let's talk about this interior a little bit. So we have cloth seats here, which are manually operated for both me and my front passenger. No heated integration either, so that's kind of a bummer up here in New England. But the cloth seats themselves are quite comfortable. There is definitely a little bit of wear on them for 100,000 miles, not bad. Anyways, there is a lot of gloss black in this interior, which I don't appreciate because, as you know, gloss black gets dirty really fast and is difficult to keep clean. It's also really prone to scratching, which, we have a little bit of that here. Obviously, someone nicked it at a period of time and probably regretted it instantly. I do, however, like the HVAC controls down here. Also gloss black, but it's kept really clean. Of course, if you're eating in your car and you get some fingerprints on that, that's gonna, be annoying to clean. But I really do appreciate the display, especially because it has a little digital display that tells you what your current temperature settings are on. So we do have cruise control in here. No adaptive cruise control, but under that $20,000 mark, I'm actually pleasantly surprised we even have it. No Apple CarPlay, but we do have Bluetooth integration that works pretty well. Of course, AM and FM radio. And you also have an auxiliary port and USB port down here, so feel free to plug your phone in and bump some tunes on that. As far as sound in here, I feel like you can really hear the road, especially through the tires. They're really communicating here, and some wind noise as well. Cars are clear. Let's give it some pep. So it's funny, it hits 60 a little bit faster than I thought it would. I will say that it's not fast by any means, but it's kind of fun to hear that to hear that 1.8 liter 4-cylinder really work for it. And you know, this thing revs to about 6,400, so not too shabby. As far as fuel economy numbers, we get 28 highway and 36 city, which is very good, especially when you think about, you know, this being a practical daily driver. You could put down those seats and, you know, even get some shorter wood planks back there, no problem. So now clicking the drive mode into Eco, you can definitely tell the difference between the two drive modes, especially when it comes to, you know, how the transmission behaves. It's really trying to keep the engine in very low RPMs, you know, just above 1,000 right now. So when you think Toyota, especially Corollas, you think value, you know, you think reliability, you think long-term ownership plan, right? And so this Toyota Corolla IM, which already has over 100,000 miles on it and has shown little signs of wear and tear, of course, with the steering wheel and some other internal components in this interior, really overall still drives quite nicely. The CVT is behaving itself, and really no other issues I'm seeing with this Corolla. I will say on the outside of this car, just in terms of value of original MSRP, it looks a lot nicer on the outside than it does on the inside. Those wheels really do it for me. I think it breathes like premium. It makes the car look a lot more expensive than it is. But when you get in this interior, besides the gloss black components, which look great new and when they're clean, this interior is a little lackluster in terms of design. So one thing I really don't appreciate is this door card. Of course it's gloss black here, so you're gonna get a lot of fingerprints on that. But the other issue I have is this part of the door card really extends itself into the driver's legroom. So if you're on long road trips, you might have a hard time with, you know, trying to sprawl out and get yourself comfortable, especially if you have someone in the back seat behind you, because you can't move your seat that far back. But I think as a practical, compact, you know, it's not really a wagon, but a 5-door sedan, this thing is great. You know, it's a nice little hatchback. I wouldn't call it a hot hatch because it's not very fast, it's not very powerful. I think if you had the 6-speed manual, you could probably give it that name because you have that added level of engagement. But, you know, with the CVT, it's a little lackluster even in sport mode. It is pretty peppy, and, you know, the throttle response is really turned up in sport mode, but other than that, I don't really find this thing a, you know, fun car to drive. The one issue I do have with this seat, though, is actually how concave it is. And the longer I spend in this seat, the more I recognize that too, because, you know, there's basically no lumbar support. If you're a thinner person, like, you know, I'm about 250 pounds, 5'9", so I'm a bigger guy. So if you're smaller than me, you might not have this issue because the side bolsters will hit you in a different position, and basically you can sit yourself back more further in the seat. But basically there's like a ½ inch gap between, you know, that part of my back and where the lumbar support should be. So it, you know, kind of creates this awkward stage for how I'm sitting. So for a car under the $20,000 US mark with the original MSRP, I do also like that we have the dual climate control. Although in a car this size, you might not really need it, but it's definitely nice to have. Just checking to see if this thing sounds as raspy on the outside as it does on the inside, and that is true. It's a very throaty 4-cylinder, and I think with an exhaust and a 6-speed manual, I think that'd be kind of a fun thing to have. But so as you all know, if you watch videos on my channel, we're approaching the worst road in Merrimack, New Hampshire. I approach this at 20 miles an hour. We'll test out how the suspension is tuned and report back. So it's actually pretty soft. It absorbs bumps really well, especially with, you know, how low this thing is to the ground. It basically is positioned just like a traditional Corolla would be, but I honestly do think that it handles harsh bumps pretty well. You definitely still feel the little road imperfections, like there's these little lines that run across the road, and as I go over them, I can feel them in the steering wheel. But with that being said, on larger bumps, like if you're driving this thing in Boston, you won't be as punished as you might think. All right, well, we're pulled over. Let's check out this backup camera. Fairly low resolution, but you know, it gets the job done. For safety features, we do have lane keep assist and a warning component with that, but we don't have blind spot monitoring, which I feel like this car could use. I mean, the mirrors are good, but you know, there's a little low visibility, especially in terms of my C-pillar in here. Just because of the hatchback component of this car, it kind of takes away some of that. We do have obviously good view out our, you know, side here, especially in terms of between the A and the B pillar, but back there you might have a, you know, a large blind spot that you could have a car sitting in, and you won't know unless you have the blind spot monitoring. So to conclude my video on this 2017 Toyota Corolla IM, Toyota marketed it as a, you know, sporty and engaging type of hot hatch with added practicality in terms of that compared to the regular Corolla, and I do think they nailed the practicality part of that claim. I don't think with the CVT this thing is as engaging as they might have wanted it to be, even in sport mode. I think the 6-speed manual is to be determined for me. I feel like that is a good combination for the 1.8 liter 4-cylinder that's in this car. I think if you add a 6-speed manual to that and an exhaust, it could be intriguing and engaging, just like Toyota wanted with this car. And of course, for the 12th generation Corolla, they have the Corolla GR, so they were on the right track in 2017. I just don't think they fully completed the formula. Of course, that car is also double the price of this one brand new in terms of original MSRP from 2017 to the now 12th generation Corolla GR, which is above $40,000. With that being said, I enjoyed my time in this Toyota Corolla. Shout out to First International Auto Group for lending it to me. Definitely reach out if you guys have any questions. Leave your comments below. Don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye.